Welcome back to this magnificent Changemakers Blueprint training. Nicola Grace, the Mission Mentor, here again. And I hope after the last video where you discovered the power in your expression to change your business and transform the world, that you're excited about finding one of your primary expressions. We're going to deep dive into step number 1 in my Changemakers Blueprint, which is clarify your expansion method. And in the last video, you learned that your expansion method is your soul's primary expression modalities, that when you express yourself through these methods or through these modalities, you have the greatest mission mojo to expand your life experience. So that basically means to, manifest something that you don't currently have that you want. Now, you'll remember from your PDF blueprint download that step number 1, clarify your expansion method, is the all-important first step because it eliminates the frustration of not knowing your passion or which passion and idea to follow. Your expansion method also taps you into your mission blueprint that outlines your life path and life direction, as well as clarifies your direction and point of power to become that magnificent change maker. And there's about 7 other really awesome things that your primary expression modalities do and that do for you in your life and in your business. And I will tell you all about that later on after we've done a process together to identify at least one of your expression modalities. But first, here's what's in today's training. We're going to do a quick recap on step number 1, clarify your expansion method, so you're well prepared for the process that we'll do today. As I promised in the last training, I'm going to outline my DNA of self-discovery process, and this helps you to discover your primary expression modalities. And then we'll deep dive into the first exercise in the process to find at least one of your expression modalities, as I said before. And then we'll finish up with how can you use this information to improve your business right now, as in today. Because as you'll remember, when I discovered what my primary expression modalities are and reorganized my business, literally within 2 hours, something really fantastic occurred. And I'll remind you of that as we go through this recap. Let's start with a brief recap on the last overview training, where I talked about an unofficial survey I took over 1,000 clients in 2012. Now, with my psychic, intuitive, visionary skills, I saw that everyone has this mission blueprint that outlines the best outcomes for your life, all the details of your life purpose and mission, how best to succeed and tap into the ocean of abundance. Now, I also saw that 100% of us will make a difference in the world through the ripple effect when we align our businesses and careers to that mission blueprint. I saw that everyone had this multi-million-dollar idea lying dormant on that blueprint, which means none of us are born to remain in poverty, and I'm really excited about that. And that included people that I read for from third world nations. I also discovered that 100% of us bring something unique to the universal picnic table of life. We clarified some terms to get direction on what to look for when you're monetizing your mission so that you can be in alignment with your purpose. And it's your mission blueprint that gives you those details. We discussed how life purpose is such a broad topic, you can't narrow it down to a statement. We all have the same soul's purpose, which is to expand and evolve, yet it is our life purpose that covers the details of how that's going to happen through our life lessons, our challenges, what you're here to be, which is your primary expression modalities, the purpose part of your purpose, and what you're here to do, which is your mission, the doing, mission part of your purpose. Then there's your talents and your skills that all form under this umbrella to lead you to your fulfillment and your overarching soul's purpose fulfillment, which is that of expansion and evolution. And you want to lead in your business or your mission or your social enterprise with expressing yourself through the primary expression modalities part of your life purpose, because these are your expansion methods. And I'm going to repeat this a lot because I really want it to sink in. Because it's certainly going to make things a lot easier for you when you do come up against challenges. You'll remember, oh yeah, this is happening because it's time for me to expand. And you'll be able to very quickly expand beyond that challenge without getting your head sort of caught up in the details of the challenge. Because when you're expanding, you're fulfilling your soul's purpose, and that gives you greater magnetism. Get that? It gives you greater magnetism to make things happen a little easier when you are in expansion. We also discussed if you want to discover your life purpose or your mission blueprint, then some form of self-discovery is going to be needed, plus a proven process. Now, our mind is trained not to find all the details we need by ourselves, from our education system, from society at large, programming, all sorts of things get in the way of us really getting those finer distinctions that somebody else with a fresh pair of eyes, who's professional or trained in the area, who's objective, who's intuitive, can bring us and can shed light on things for us. I certainly didn't make it to where I am today on my own, and no one successful ever does. That's actually a great myth of the working class, that you can do it all on your own, you can make it on your own, you can fuddle your way through, and that takes a lot of time and it doesn't guarantee you results. Every successful person will tell you it takes teamwork to make the dream work. You don't know what you don't know, and you can't see what you can't see. You also don't know how to do something you've never done before. That's why we have people to bridge those gaps for us. We have people in the world with other skills and talents precisely so we can help each other with our unique talents and skills. And here's a really curious thing that I've discovered as well. If you want people to invest in your talents and skills, but you don't invest in other people's talents and skills, then you're setting up an out of balance karma for your business. You're saying you don't value working with others enough to invest in it. So you'll attract people who don't value your work, or who can't afford to pay for your work, or won't pay you because you've sent a really clear message out there that you don't value working with others. Wealthy, successful people hire coaches or consultants or mentors and advisors at some point, and usually every step of their journey. And they invest in ongoing education, which is what I did when I found out about this fact. And it's made the hugest difference in my life. I would not be here if I hadn't valued the talents and skills of other people helping me along the way. They collapse time for me, and they save me money trying to figure it all out on my own. Okay, so we talked also about how electrons facing the same way create magnetism, and everything is made up of atoms, therefore electrons, including your soul, which is an electromagnetic current containing information. So when electrons are aligned in a certain way, i.e., for example, and you're aligned to your soul's blueprint, and your thinking is aligned, and your actions are aligned, then you have the greatest magnetic attraction to bring about change and transformation, because you're tapping into your soul's natural mission mojo. You have soul magnetism. That, not much people talk about the magnetic attractive ability of the soul. A lot of manifestation techniques out there are all mind-based. Yet the soul has the greatest power of manifestation for you. And one of the keys to monetizing your mission is to lead in your business with your primary expression modalities, because that is where you have your manifestation magnetism. This is step number 1 in my Magnificent Changemakers Blueprint, Clarify Your Expansion Method. And expansion is really the key here, as I said before, because it fulfills your soul's purpose for being alive, and it taps you into your greatest magnetism and manifestation abilities. I'm being repetitive because I really, really, really want it to sink in. Another point I made about expansion is that when we're expanding beyond our current experience, i.e. we're reaching for something that we've never had before, we have the greatest activation of magnetic mojo power there is, because we're about to fulfill our soul's purpose of expansion. So you don't want to waste those expansion moments when you're feeling like there's a challenge and you want to retreat into smallness, because it's difficult to manifest your dreams and leave a legacy when you play small. Your soul magnetism isn't activated. It remains dormant, and so does all of the abundance that you're entitled to. It remains dormant because you actually do need to activate it. And the great news is that our soul has left us clues throughout our life, even in what we're doing right now, as to what we're here to do and the best path to live in a state of abundance. And the final point to wrap up this recap is that I revealed to you in the last training what my primary expression modalities were of writing, speaking, teaching, traveling, visioning, transforming, mentoring, solving world problems. And when I orientated my business towards these expansion methods, literally within 2 hours, things began to shift big time. I was invited to appear in a book with Deepak Chopra, literally within 2 hours of making that change. I became a 3-time best-selling author within 6 months. I broke 6 figures within 12 months, and there was a lot of other really cool stuff that happened in that time as well. And on reflection, when I saved the billion-dollar industry from ruin, I was actually leading, unbeknownst to me, with my top 6 primary expressions. So we all have about 5 to 8 primary expression modalities to synergize to create a fulfilling life, successful business, and help us make the biggest difference in the world. And I am going to talk about how to discover them right now. I know that we're constantly being left clues as to what we're supposed to be doing and how best outcomes can arise for us. And I know how to decipher those clues for myself, now I do at least, but I need to help others find and decipher them for themselves as well, because the more people that are in their mission mojo and fulfilling their mission, then the faster the world is going to become a magnificent place for everybody. So through a combination of using my psychic visionary skills, my study of quantum physics, and working with a life purpose coach myself, I developed this DNA of self-discovery process to help others tap into their mission blueprint and their mission mojo. So here's a little bit of background information, then we'll go over the process, I'll teach it to you, and then we're actually going to do the process, using that action guide handout that you've got there. Hopefully you've downloaded it already, because we're going to go through it in just a sec. Now you'll recall from the last video, and if you've read my book, Discover What You're Here to Do, scientists have discovered a unified quantum field that is emitting information 24/7. And the quantum field is in every atom of every particle and spaces in between, unifying everything that exists. So information is pouring out from everywhere. Now, because there is a purpose to our life, that means we're also receiving information about that purpose. So information specific to this life's incarnation, its purpose, and the best pathways to live your life is coded in your mission blueprint. Even the fact that you are to be somebody who's going to go into business rather than get a job and be a wage slave. So those codes aren't always sentences or information that we can understand, much like our own DNA in our body, until we've actually got a means by which we can study them. So DNA means code, right? And it's holographic packages of information that run the show in our body. But the DNA or the codes of our mission blueprint are similar. They are holographic packets of information that show us the best way to live our life and make a difference to evolve our own experience as well as the human experience at large. Now, I had heard of this idea that we have a soul blueprint way back when I first started doing spiritual workshops for myself. But in 2012, not only did I start seeing these codes, I saw them in everyone, which is why I'm able to help people quickly get on track to their mission and build a business on a multi-million-dollar platform that leaves a legacy. I can just see it there, just like boom, it just opens up for me, and then there it is, and I can relay that to you. I can see the best pathway forward and save people a great many years of struggle, and I do that. I've saved clients hundreds of thousands of dollars. I even saved a client $1 million and making a really bad investment decision in their business. And one of the biggest reasons why you can't always find and decipher those codes for yourself is because of the modern day busy programming. There needs to be a stillness of mind to be able to make the connection. And I've had clients where I've actually given them all the codes and I put it in front of them, but they still can't make the connection because of this, their mind's too busy, or there's ego and society's programming, family expectations getting in the way and creating resistance to actually seeing what's there. So it's like you need an external light source to flick the switch on and go, look, there it is, right there. These are the core messages that are coming up for you to listen to and implement. And we also don't take enough time out of our busy day often enough to regroup, to get silent, or to reflect on what clues our soul has been dropping us about the best ways to proceed in order to fulfill our purpose, which is one of the reasons why we get wake-up calls, right? We get the clues, we ignore them, or we second guess them, or we don't even acknowledge that they are clues, and then the next thing you know, whoppo, we have this big wake-up moment. And I have had many of those. So I know of that which I speak. Yet here's the thing. When we do take time out to prioritize that self-discovery, we actually save a lot of time, years in fact, in getting it wrong and having to start all over again. It's ironic that we often need to take time out to get things done faster. It just seems to be the way of it. So prioritizing time out for self-discovery pays you back in so many ways, the least of which is that you get that fulfilling, abundant life sooner rather than later. You get to be giving to charity more. You get to be making a bigger difference more sooner rather than later. And sometimes even wondering if it's ever going to happen. We eliminate that by just getting right to it. So from wasting time heading down the wrong direction, to doing things that don't get you results, to all of the lost revenue potential because you're not doing the right thing, prioritizing the time to discover your mission blueprint circumvents delay to that ultimate life and business success that you're looking for. Now, I'm happy you've prioritized your time to watch this training with me today because it's really going to give you some great clarity of direction on how to build a business and leave a legacy 100% aligned to your purpose and mission. It will bring you that much closer to the desire you have to make more money by making a bigger difference. So the actual DNA of self-discovery process I've developed that I teach right out of my Right Mission, Right Money group mentoring program has 3 main steps to it. It's a very simple process of asking a repetitive question to reveal repetitive codes. Look for the patterns in the codes, that's the DNA sort of patterning, and then applying a mathematical equation to get the primary expression modalities. We ask repetitive questions of certain activities we've done, certain thoughts we've had, and this exposes the DNA of your mission blueprint in the form of single words or word strings of 2 to 3. Words are codes, right? So our language is the code by which we communicate. Now these words are going to point you to core values behind what you do in your working life throughout your thought processes in the past and certain events of occurrences in the past that bear relevance to your life purpose. When you do the entire DNA of self-discovery process, which takes about 2 to 6 hours depending on how thorough you want to be, you'll come up with about 30 to 100 words that form repetitive patterns that give us great clarity of direction for you. And today we're going to do a process where you'll come up with at least 5. Some of you might even come up with more. Now I call these words your soul buzzwords because they buzz you in the right direction of your soul's purpose fulfillment, as well as provide resonance on words, provide resonance. So when you're talking to prospective clients and customers and joint venture partners and partners, they're going to resonate with you because you're using their words. For those of you who are resonating with me, it's because I'm using a lot of my soul buzzwords. Now I am going to be sharing more about this process, this DNA of self-discovery, and in the teleseminar training coming up. Today we're going to get a snippet of it so that you can start making some changes today. I want you sort of not having to wait or delay time to actually start getting some reorientation on your life direction. The details of that teleclass, by the way, you'll see at the top of the page. There's a link there that has the live teleclass details. Once we've got all these codes, we now look for the patterns, and patterns are words that repeat themselves, and we put it all together using the mathematical equation, which basically means we're going to add things up, right? We're going to use addition to find out what words repeat themselves the most, and then that gives us what your top primary expression modalities are. Now remember I said our soul has left us clues throughout our life, what we're doing right now, as to what we're here to do and the best path to live in a state of abundance. Well, I'm going to demonstrate that to you in this process that I'll walk you through. Here you'll discover at least one, if not more, of your primary expressions and what your expansion method is. So you'll need the handout that goes with this training and a pen or pencil. And if you've been multitasking, you'll also need to turn off your distractions, mobile phone, Facebook, or anything that pops up at you because it's time to prioritize finding one of your points of expansion for you, and you're going to need peace and quiet to do so because you're going to be listening deeply from within yourself. So hopefully you filled out the first question there in the handout. What is the most repetitive task you do in your business? And so the more specific you are in your answer here, the better. So for example, if you answer email all day long, what specifically are you doing in those emails? Are you solving problems? Are you counseling? Are you organizing? Are you telling people what to do? Are you giving information? Are you teaching? What are you actually doing in that task the most repetitively? Now, if you don't have a business at the moment or you're looking to transition into a new one, take your last job or business and use the most repetitive task you did in that. Okay, so we're going to repeat this same question over and over again to come up with some codes in the form of single words. I'm going to walk you through that right now. So, I invite you to sit still, be relaxed. Make sure you've got your pen in your hand and your action guide in front of you. And take a deep breath in. And then very slowly release it. Just bringing the mind into a calm state. I've downloaded a lot of information, so we want to do that again to bring our brainwaves into a different state. So let's take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. One more time, breathing in, slowing everything down as we breathe out. Now you can close your eyes for this exercise if you prefer. And now what you're going to do here is write down the first thing that comes into your mind without judging it, thinking too much about it or second guessing yourself, because you can't get anything wrong here. So it's the first response I'm looking for, not the stuff that you go to in your outer mind to try and figure out. That's going to lead you astray. What is the first thing that comes into your mind when I ask you to imagine doing that task that you wrote down as if you're doing it right now, and ask yourself this: what am I actually doing when I do that? What am I actually doing when I do that? And I want you to write that down. No judging. If you don't get anything, just write blank. What am I actually doing when I do that activity? Okay, I'm not going to let you think too much about it because I'm wanting those first responses. And again, if you're not getting a first response, you just put the word blank down. Now I'm going to repeat that question again several times, because each time we repeat a listing question like this, it pushes us further into the subconscious mind where the soul has left the best clues. What are you actually doing when you do that repetitive activity you wrote down? Again, first thing that comes to mind. What are you actually doing when you do that task? What are you doing when you do that? What are you really doing when you do that? Single word answers if you can. If you can get it to several single words, that's okay, but no big long sentences, just single words or a couple of words. What are you really doing when you do that task? What are you doing when you do that activity? What are you really, really doing when you do that? Okay, great, good job. Whatever you've written down is great. Now, I don't often get this. In fact, I've only ever had it happen once in the whole 4 years I've been doing this. If you've written blank, 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 that usually means you've got a big block and you need to do some clearing. If that is you, email me at nicola@nicolagrace.com and I'll point you in the right direction of removing that block. Now, okay, so now we get to ask a slightly different question to pull up some patterns in those codes, if there are any. So now we're going to still imagine that you're doing that task, but this time you are going to close your eyes if you haven't already done so, and you're going to fall back deeper within yourself by turning your eyes inward. So you're looking, you know how with our eyes we look out. So I want you to imagine that you're just looking back into your body, back into your mind, back into your head. And imagine yourself doing that task and now ask, what am I actually being? What am I being when I do that task? Am I being a farmer, a writer? Am I being happy and joyful? There are two types of being words here, ones that describe an activity in the noun sense and ones that describe a feeling or a state of being. So both are good, whatever comes up is good. Make sure they are in the form of a being word though, not a verb or a doing word. So for instance, if you're doing the task of writing, what you're doing is writing and what you're being is a writer. Make sense? Okay, so imagine yourself doing that task. What are you actually being? You're being a... What are you actually being? You're being... What are you really being? First response, remember, no second guessing yourself or leaving anything out. What are you being? What are you being? What are you actually being? What are you really being when you do that? What are you being? Okay, great. So we've got some words here. Now we're going to move on to that very complex mathematical equation and simply add up the words that are similar or in similar form between your being and your doing columns. So on the slide here, you'll see my example where I had speaking and telling and speaker in the two columns. So I grouped all of those together to get 3 repetitions. Same for teaching, teacher, educator, because they're similar concepts. And I group them all together. And then you choose one word that best represents them. So I would choose teaching or speaking, something like that, to represent the whole group. So what you want to do is you want to order any of the words in groupings and put your most repeated words or groupings of words first. So for me, I put speaking, teaching first in this particular exercise. Now I want to say here that not everyone will have corresponding doing and being words to add up. Here's for example, here's a graduate of my Right Mission, Right Money mentoring program, and her initial sole buzzwords were, on the doing side, connecting, creating, writing, assessing, guiding, mentoring. And then on the being side, she write guide, mentor, teacher, listener, writer, learner, student, healer. So you can see there's a few repeating words there, but there were also some new words in there when she did the being, which is precisely why we do the doing and the being questioning. So when we group her words together, teacher, educator came up first because on the left-hand side, there was no teaching here, but on the right-hand side, she had teacher, learner, student. And learner and student, when they show up as words that are also there, if there's a teacher word, that's usually a really high value in education. So that person is usually an educator. So we group those together to come up with teacher and educator as a primary expression for her. Guiding and mentoring is another one, and writing is another one. Now the really cool thing with Sharon is that when we did the discovery, the process, the DNA of self-discovery, the entire process, over the course of the time, she realized that she wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing, and this is the reason why she was struggling. So she was a healer, and she was out there healing and doing lots of one-on-one healing work and really struggling with that. And she was starting to lose flavor for it. When we discovered that healing is only a small part of her primary expression, but teaching and educating was, we also discovered the word global was in her soul buzzword list and travel. We looked at that and went, no, she's supposed to be traveling around the world teaching and educating on healing, not actually doing the one-on-one healing as her primary focus in business. This is what I mean by starting to monetize yourself by looking at what your primary expression modality is. So by shifting her business to be one of more teaching and educating in the field of healing, she's now making a lot more money and she's about to go global with it. So can you see how you might be missing a piece of the puzzle that is keeping you away from getting really great results? Now here's Lisa. She's another person who's gone through my process of DNA self-discovery, and she got some really fast results on implementing these modalities. She says I identified my primary expression modalities and realized I wasn't using 2 of them at all in my business. I immediately implemented these modalities, and within 3 weeks, I want you to hear that. This is how fast the shift can be. Within 3 weeks, I had a complete shift in my business. I got noticed by a top executive at Google, as well as a top Google influencers. I doubled my following online, and I was approached by influencers in my niche to work with them. So what happened with Lisa is that in her coaching business, she was coaching the wrong people on the wrong topics. She had the right systems in place, but just by using these soul buzzwords and using these primary expression modalities and making her go out there in her business, leading with those, she got these phenomenal results within a relatively quick period of time. Now, Kathy was somebody who was working in the corporate arena, and she discovered that she really was a speaker, a writer, and a healer. And she said that she was talking to somebody about what she was doing, and they weren't paying much attention. So she remembered to switch to using some of my soul buzzwords and primary expression modalities, and the person she was speaking to strongly resonated with what she was saying. That's the key. Remember, I said those soul buzzwords carry resonance so that your ideal customer or client can recognize that they are going to be working with you. So it makes it a lot easier for you to close sales. Kathy goes on to say, I also got the attention of her assistant. They become more interested in what I was doing and recommended people that would be interested in my work. And now I'm using my soul power words in all my marketing material. So this isn't just airy-fairy, waffly spiritual stuff. It's actually quite scientific, because these words have got magnetism. They've got electrons that face in a certain way to draw to you your ideal clients, as well as identify to you what your niche is. So Kathy was so impressed, she sent me her daughter. And Chloe was at school preparing to go on to university, wanting to know what subjects to study. She says here that she wanted to get it right first time. So when she went through my DNA of self-discovery process, she got specific direction on which avenue to take at university. So now I'm not as anxious. Nicola's opened the doors to a bigger picture for me, giving me permission to explore other alternatives. I'm allowed to pursue other fields. So she had some expansion of consciousness and awareness there. Specifically, I discovered through her process how I can make money right now with my art business. Now, this is a 17-year-old college student about to go on to university, realizing how she could make money right now in her art business and incorporate a broader range of observational thinking, expanding the work that she did. Whatever that means, I'm not quite sure, but she's a very intelligent cookie. So she's increased her options. Now, what's really been amazing with Chloe, she says here that she started her own website and has had people offering to buy her artwork already, and a whole new world has opened up for her. And she is now putting herself through college. Like I did this process with her a year ago, and she's putting herself through college, which means the burden of debt is not going to be upon her young soul when she graduates from university, and the burden is not going to be financially there on her parents either, because she's able to support herself in doing something that she's actually studying at university, already making money. That's the world we live in today, folks. We live in a world where, we can be making money right now, even if we're studying. Regardless, there's a whole new world of opportunity out there. So there's some examples of practically how these expression modalities can help you monetize and help you create some really good results. Now, the other thing that this DNA of self-discovery process gives you, other than your top 5 to 8 expression modalities when you do the entire process, and where your expansion and evolution is, it's also going to help you on how to express yourself to influence people, as you saw with Kathy. How to catalyze change, how to create change and transformation, and how to attract influential people to you, which is what happened with Lisa. Where your mission mojo power is, what words to use to influence others, what soul buzzwords to use in your to power your marketing, the keys to give you more powerful branding. Mission is one of my soul buzzwords, so I've put that in my branding. I'm the mission mentor. Mentor was another one of my primary expression modalities. Solving world problems gave me a clue to what my niche was. Who solves world problems? Social entrepreneurs, social innovators. So that's who I'm working with, or people who want to become social entrepreneurs and use business for good. So you get clues to identify your niche. You get clues to identify the people you were born to serve and who are just waiting for you to step up and deliver your gift. So let's look at how you can apply this in your business today. What can you do today from what you've discovered with your primary expression modalities? Please pop comments in below. Just get those comments in there so I can give you some feedback. What words did you come up with? Are they forms of expression you're not currently doing, or you're not doing enough? Like, what's happening there, What can you do with these words to perhaps add into your marketing, add into a branding, or really clarify what your niche is? And just pick one thing that you can do today to add these soul buzzwords, or to add these primary expression modalities into your business, even if it's just putting it into your strategy. Okay, I'm shifting my strategy and I'm going to be doing more of this, which is what I did. I shifted my strategy and I'm going to be doing more writing. And that's when within 2 hours I got this email inviting me to be in that book with Deepak Chopra. So let's create some results for you today by implementing this information right away. And if you're struggling, just feel free to put in a comment or contact me at nicolagrace.com and let me know what's going on, see how I can help you and point you in the right direction. Now, before we scooch off today, I just want to remind you that the Magnificent Changemakers teleclass is coming up. And it's great to have completed all of these trainings before we get to that teleclass, because I won't be repeating a lot of this information. I'm going to be deep diving more into the key to monetizing your mission so that you can have the freedom to help more people, give more to charity, and live your ideal life. And I'm really focusing in on how you build a social business to leave a legacy. So when you take a vacation, money still comes in and your message still gets out. And we'll also look at the missing link that marries mission and money and legacy together to make you a magnificent change maker and an unstoppable force for good in the world. You'll see in the slide here, top right hand corner in the menu bar, grand finale training. So if you look at the top of your page, you'll see grand finale training. If you click on that, it's going to give you the details of how you can call in and participate in that. I'm looking really forward to meeting you. I hope you can attend live and pick up the phone and have a chat with me, or at least use the chat box. And of course, for those of you who are wanting to get started right away on finding all of your soul primary expression modalities and your soul buzzwords and looking at your, how you can use that in your branding and marketing, you're welcome to have a one-on-one session with me, and the link for that is below this video. Speak to you soon. Bye for now.